Welcome to Music for Storytellers, a podcast dedicated to music for visual media. On today's episode, Fabian and I discuss orchestral recording sessions. We dive into the whole process behind recording orchestras, both locally and remotely. We talk about our experiences in university, as well as our most recent professional experiences. We'll give you a few tips and tricks along the way to help you prepare for your very first session, if that's the case. So I hope you'll enjoy. Hello, Mr. Fabian.
Hello, Joey.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very well. So today we are discussing orchestral recordings,
Yes.
right? You've recorded a few orchestras in your life, right?
Yes. So, for example, during our time at Berkeley, we recorded some orchestras together, but then also after in some opportunities, some workshops, also professionally. I think we can talk about the opportunities, how you can record with an orchestra in this episode a little bit. Well, and recently I recorded with a string quartet in November last year.
Very cool. Yeah. Should we talk about our time at Berkeley? A quick.
Yes,
How many?
definitely.
We had like 12 recording sessions in total, I think, right?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, I think.
S-
So I think the assignment at Berkeley was that the ensemble grew with every assignment. So
Right.
it started with a small ensemble, and then it became bigger and bigger. And at the end, we recorded at Air Studios in London,
Right.
and our final projects. For those of you who want to hear a lot about this, there's another podcast I did before. I did the one with Joey. You will have the link in the show notes, and there is a full episode where I talk with Joey about the recording at our final recording at Air Studios. So maybe if you're
Right.
interested in that. But we also recorded in Budapest, I think.
Right. That was the main place we recorded, I think, for like several recordings.
For several times, yeah. Yeah, I think the most of them were in Budapest, yeah. And then also we had like smaller ensembles directly in Valencia, like
Oh, right.
a
We,
string
we, we
quartet, a
recorded
brass
at school as
ensemble,
well.
and stuff like this. Yeah.
Right. It started with like a trio, then a quartet, and then we went right to bigger ensembles.
Yes. Yes.
And how did you find that? W-
The
Yeah.
recording in general, or what do you mean?
I mean, at Berkeley, how was that? Was that your first experience for?
It was the first time that I recorded with an orchestra, and it was at the beginning I was scared as hell, of
Yeah.
course, because of all the things you need to do, and you never know how your music will sound when
Yeah.
you listen it the first time. It also is a little bit. I always had the feeling that maybe the musicians think I'm a stupid composer, or it's too easy, or too, I don't know, they don't like my music. That's
Right.
also
Right.
a feeling I had. But I think as we did it like once a month, at least it felt like that, it became a little bit a routine, which was very good because
Mm-hmm.
then, especially in our final recording at Air Studios, it was not so. Even if, of course, it was a new thing and it was Air Studios and it was like who, but it was already some kind of routine, and that was good. It was a good thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. For me too, it was my very first time recording, at least ensembles that way and conducting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had conducted a bit before, right?
Yeah, I conducted a little bit before my previous university,
Mm-hmm.
but in a session, I think conducting is also different than just
Yeah.
conducting a live ensemble.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's much easier for sure. There's with the
definitely.
click track and
Yeah,
yeah, for me too. It was really cool, very intimidating at first, even if we recorded just a trio. It was
yeah.
just clarinet. What was it? Clarinet,
Clarinet
uh,
and cello and
cello,
violin,
and violin.
and we had
Yeah.
to add a piano or harp with MIDI.
Oh,
That was the
right.
assignment. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
And yeah, for you, maybe it was your first time recording and conducting, but you had been composing for a while, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for me it was one of my first real compositions, which is a bit strange, but I started composing a little late. And so it was a lot at the same time. I find it was conducting, recording, composing for a small ensemble, all that at the same time was a lot. But I think yeah, you're right. Over the having all those 12 or so recordings like almost every month was really helped
Yeah,
to gain confidence and learn a lot.
yeah. I think it's always a special atmosphere at recordings. That's also what makes it so different. I cannot describe it really, but it's a the atmosphere is on the one hand is a little bit everybody is a little bit stressed, but
Yeah,
also all the people are of course super focused. I think that's also something you can feel in good recordings.
yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
super focused, and yeah, this creates a super intense atmosphere.
Well, it's because of the time restraint, right? And the
Yeah,
money, like
yeah,
the money involved. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Because what we had 18 minutes each
18 minutes,
per
yeah. And the
to
cues
record
were
about
always,
three,
I don't know, yeah, 2, 3 minutes.
right, maximum.
Yeah,
So you only have a certain amount of time of takes for your piece. So and everyone is aware of that, you know. So the musicians are ready. They know they have to perform. You have to conduct properly,
yeah,
give your cues. The recording engineer is ready, you know, and all your classmates are there. So it's like there's a lot going on, definitely,
yeah,
and it's very similar to the real world, right?
definitely. I mean, what really stressed me out at Berkeley maybe was that during the recording sessions, we had a counter, you remember? There was this counter
Yeah,
where you could see the time. I
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. The
I
timer,
never
yeah.
had that after. In the recordings I did after, it was never like this, but this really stressed me out a little bit. Because you see, oh, I have 2 minutes left, and you within you yeah you within the take, and you don't know. Okay, will I be able to record the whole thing to the end or not?
But you know what? That's actually useful. Maybe I
Sometimes it's
I don't
useful,
even
yeah. Sometimes it's
I don't
useful.
remember that timer, but you know what? In my latest recording session, I think that would have been useful because I maybe went over a bit.
Yeah, we have to talk about that recording session. So, it was when did you do it?
Right. So last October, I decided to record a small string ensemble.
Nice,
It was for a short film. The film was called Finding Feodan, and it was like a some very short 4 minute fantasy medieval setting of a short film. And I thought I really liked the project. I was beautifully shot. The story was great. Um, I thought my music would have a lot of space to breathe in that short film, and I thought it was really important, a really important part of this film. So I thought, you know what, maybe I should invest in a small recording session. So I got in touch with our dear friend Anna Kirstaich, who was on the
nice.
show a few episodes ago,
Yes,
and yeah, we decided to book a session together and split the session, which is something interesting that I had never done before. And I recorded that piece plus another one, and she recorded two pieces, so a total of four pieces. We had a 1 hour session. Um, what else? What else?
so
Uh,
1 hour, so 30 minutes per person.
that's basically what we did. Yeah.
But that's still
Uh,
not, I think, not the regular time you usually book an orchestra, right?
what do
I
you
think
mean?
I think
Usually?
normally you have to book it at least for 3 hours so that so that all the musicians come. So how was it possible that you could do it just for 30 minutes per person?
Oh no, I mean, the I don't know. The orchestra let us book for 1 hour
Ah,
total,
okay,
and
nice.
we split the hour however we wanted.
Ah, cool.
But so yeah, we booked that one session, 1 hour. I recorded the first piece. Maybe I can tell you a bit how it went down. Um,
Please.
we started we started with my piece for my short film. We did about I'd say 3 to 5 takes, or more or less in sections. We started with the intro, went as far as we could, then we stopped, did that a few times. Then once it was good, moved on to the next section. And I obviously with 4 pieces, we thought we'll split it like 15 minutes each, right?
Yeah.
But I realized that I had gone over by like a 5 minutes, so my piece took
Ooh.
20 minutes to record.
Okay.
Um, so that was kind of stressful. I didn't think about all that, because when you're in the recording session, you're it's not only you who decides. There's the conductor, there's the person in the studio there leading their part of the recording session. So often the and you're talking to them through Skype or Zoom, right? So you hear the orchestra in real time, and you're talking to the conductor between takes. So we would do like, um, from the top to rehearsal letter C. So we would do that, and then we'd stop, and the conductor would say, "Okay, so how about this? What about that? Um, what did you mean by this? Do you want more here? Little details about dynamics, about articulation, or if I had anything to say, that's when I would say it."
Yeah.
So that was it's hard sometimes to gauge the time with that, because you don't know how long.
Yeah, you never know. I think that's the biggest problem of all it. The communication in
Yeah,
between, you never know how long it will take.
but actually the interactions between the takes weren't that long. It's
Okay.
how long of a section they would take,
Yeah.
and how many takes of that section they would record.
Yeah.
So, but that's maybe one of the things we did learn in Berkeley, is to have a precise plan of which sections you want to record, how many takes maybe.
Yes.
And I didn't do that, which is kind of silly, because I learned how to do that.
Yeah.
I thought I'd just wing it. And so yeah, definitely we took too many takes of that first big section. And
What do you think was the problem? Why did it took longer?
one of the things actually was a question of notation, and it's a very silly thing. Instead of I had a one section in consordino,
Okay.
and then there was one without. But instead, so I wrote consordino for the first part, but at the second part, instead of writing senza sordino, I wrote ordinario, which is
Ah.
not the same thing. But it's just
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just didn't
Yeah.
think. I thought ordinario means like back to normal,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean senza sordino. So, anyways, the orchestra kept playing, and they were confused, so we had to stop. That's one take right there.
Hmm.
And then the conductor had to ask me, what does ordinario mean? Is it senza sordino? Then I realized, oh yeah, okay. But that was maybe even second take, so it took time before really I realized.
I
So
understand.
definitely important to double check your notation. And I know it
Mm,
seems silly and easy to do, but I forgot, and I didn't realize.
I think when you have time, it's even great to ask someone else to proofread the stuff.
Exactly.
Remember, that's
And
what
it's
we did
even
in Berkeley at the Air Studios. That's what we did. We
y-
shared the sheet music, and then we said, okay, what do you mean here and here and here? Because these are
yeah,
the things you probably see. You say, okay, here's Consadino. Okay, let's check where's the part where he cancel it. Okay, he canceled it with Ordinary. Okay, maybe that's not so clear.
exactly. And we did that for every session. We always had a
Yeah.
producer with us, like a
Yes.
producer who helped us go through
Yeah.
the session. Because when we're conducting, in this case I wasn't conducting, but when we were recording together at school,
Yeah.
we were conducting our own pieces. And when you're conducting, you don't really pay attention to as many details, because you're busy doing something else. So
Yes.
it's good to have someone else with you.
Yes.
And in this case, I had Anna with me, so I should have had her at least proofread my scores before. And of course, she was there with me during the recording, but she didn't. It wasn't her job to, like. I mean, she didn't. It skipped her mind as well. So whatever, it happens.
Yeah, and probably as she also recorded later, maybe she was already talking about her
Yeah,
piece.
yeah. She
Yeah.
was thinking about her pieces, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we were thinking about time as well. There's so many factors, so it's good to check these things before. And so yeah, we ended up recording my piece. Everything went well, just a little too long. And then on the second piece, I decided we should do one of hers, because I was afraid I didn't want to take too much time of the session, so I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure it's even. So we would go one of my pieces, one of hers, and then back to mine. Or we did, actually what we did is both of her pieces back to back after that, because I knew that my last piece was kind of short and simple. So we went that way,
Yeah. And
and
how was the further
amazing.
progress? How did that work?
Her piece was, to be honest, I don't really remember after my first piece, because that was kind of the whole point, was to record that music for that film.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was so important that the rest was, it feels
Yeah.
bad to say, but I didn't
Yeah.
mind Anna's pieces, or even my second piece, because actually, Anna's pieces were just tracks like that, not in sync with any film. So,
Okay.
and my second track was as well. It was just music that we recorded, that we wrote just for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought, if we end up not doing as good of a job with those, it doesn't really matter. But I guess it's a little selfish. But no, I remember it went super well. I think Anna has more experience recording, so her sessions were very very smooth. And one thing I remember for sure is how like stern Anna was.
Okay.
Like, I was sometimes, that's one thing I remember, was I was sometimes afraid of saying, okay, no, that's good, let's move on,
Yes.
and to lead the session and not be shy to say that's good, next. And
Yes.
with Anna, maybe it's because we had already run through a lot of time. She was
Yes.
very like, okay, no, that's good, let's do from this section to that section, thank you very much, next. She was very good with that.
Yeah. But I think that's an excellent point. That it's important to be the boss in the recording
Yeah,
session. Doesn't have anything to do about arrogance. It's just everybody is there for you, and you paying those people, and they do whatever you want them to do,
yeah,
basically.
exactly. You're
So
the client, so
yeah.
you have to ask what you want, and lead the session, really.
Yeah.
But that's something, man, we learn with time. It's especially
Yeah.
if it's not in your character, right? I think you and I are kind of the same for that.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. I think in general
And
that's the hardest part to decide. Also to say, okay, it's not even to lead the people, but it's also to make the decision that it's fine
yourself,
that
yeah,
you're done with the music, and that because this is the one and only chance that it will be
yeah,
recorded. And then if you say, okay, that's it,
yeah.
probably.
But sometimes that's the thing. Sometimes I would be influenced. Like, we had just done a section and the take was fine, but then the conductor would say, "We'll do one more for safety, okay?" And I would
Yeah.
say, "Yeah, sure," but I didn't need to, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a good thing to remember.
Yeah.
And then her pieces went smoothly. And then, maybe touching on the same subject, for the last piece, which was my piece, we had very little time left. I think we had 5 minutes, which is not great. And um the 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 person there, conducting the session, not the conductor, the how do you say, the person in charge of the manager, or the studio manager, whatever,
The contractor,
um
maybe.
contractor, perhaps,
Yeah.
yeah, wasn't very pleased with us recording one piece in like 5 minutes, and she told us. And I guess for that, I stuck my ground and I said, no, no, let's just do one take, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. And she was very nice, and she let us do it, but it wasn't very, because she didn't want to let something, to have a recording that wasn't perfect,
Yes.
she didn't want music to come out of the studio that wasn't ideal.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
I
Makes
understand
sense.
that it
Yeah.
was. So for the last piece, it was a one take. I I took whatever I could, and it sounded okay. I was very pleased.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
So
you have to be really aware of your time. Yeah, that's a good point, because there's no discussion, right? After 1 hour, it's done. You booked 1 hour,
yeah,
and
that's
there's
it.
no time to negotiate about maybe 5 minutes or something like this.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's no like, oh, can we go a little 2 minute? No, no, no.
Yeah.
There's someone else after you. For a lot of things in life, it's like that, but you really feel it in recording sessions where it's like, no. Oh, and even after the take, it was like, thank you very much. We'll get in touch with you. We'll send you everything. Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
So
Yeah. Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
And so that was my experience, and it was overall very, it was fantastic. It was very enriching. Like every session, you learn a lot. Like we just mentioned, so many things I keep in mind now, and hopefully I could do it more often. The more you do it, the more you learn, and the better you become.
Definitely. What would you say was the biggest difference as when you did it as a student and now when you did it as a professional composer?
Oh wow, you know what? That's a great question. I'll just like tell you what's going through my mind. Both sessions, both at school and this session, um, I kind of took them the same way. When I was at school, I knew I'm paying for this. This is my session. It's my money. Like that's the way I looked at it. And this was the same thing. I thought it's my money, my session. Like I have to make the best of it.
Yeah,
Not take it for granted, or just try to use this opportunity as much as best I can.
yeah,
But the difference, I don't know, maybe more confidence. I had more fun with it this time because I don't know, it was special to go back to have a real recording session with another student who I studied with. Actually, Anna, we went to school with her, so it was fun to have this professional setting,
yeah,
with
yeah.
her. But yeah, besides that, not so different.
Where did you record?
It was in Macedonia.
And
If
why did you choose that orchestra?
honestly, I think it was just the best option money wise. It was
Ah, yeah,
the
yeah.
best
That's and
best pricing.
then that's already an important option, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it was yeah, the best. I think I had a hard time scheduling 1 hour with other places. Maybe there was that too. I knew I wanted 1 hour. I had a certain budget, and the record. I wanted to record video also of the session to
Yeah.
use it for promotion later. And their fee for video recording was crazy low, very inexpensive, but the result was amazing,
Yeah,
really
because
great.
I think that's they so many composers probably ask for that, and that's
Yeah,
today you have to promote your music in that way, right? It's not even you cannot just publish it and then say, okay, here's my new music, listen to it. You need a I think it's almost mandatory to have a video from your recording.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
but a lot of the studios do offer that service, but this one was very inexpensive. So
nice,
I was kind of surprised of the quality. Actually, it was very
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 cool,
nice, and I do
nice.
recommend this orchestra. They were fantastic.
So
Yeah,
Macedonia, right? So we recorded in
Macedonia.
Berkeley in Budapest, and you did in Macedonia. What do you know? Some I think in East Europe there are a lot of fantastic orchestras
Yeah,
which are affordable because I think that's probably the main reason why you didn't record in Montreal or in Canada, for example.
yeah, of course,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we did the Budapest Art Orchestra. Is that what it's called?
yeah, yeah.
This one in Macedonia is called the FAMES Project.
Okay,
I think it's an acronym. It's FAMES with periods between the letters. So FAMES Project.
yeah.
And I don't know the other ones. There's actually a new one. I think the North Orchestra
Uh huh.
in London.
Yeah.
I think it's young people started this project of recording sessions with small orchestras, small
There's
ensembles.
also one in Prague. I know about
Yes.
that. That's a good one too.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the others, yeah. In Germany, it's the same. It's recording with a German orchestra is super expensive.
Yeah, yeah. It's if we had the chance, I would definitely do it at home
Yeah,
and
for sure.
to be there in person. But I guess one day if I have the budget, I'll do it. But for now, yeah, going remotely is the best way.
Yes.
Have you recorded like that recently or since school?
Yes, so I recorded in an orchestra in Halle, which is a small city in Germany, very close to Berlin. So an hour,
Nice.
1 hour and a half away. I
Hmm.
actually recorded there twice because
Wow.
there's like a congress every year, which is called Film Music Days. It's very similar to Soundtrack Cologne, but the focus is a little bit different.
Okay.
And they are focusing really much about getting new people, giving them possibilities. So there's this one workshop called the orchestra, and you can apply for that workshop. And in this orchestra, it's a master class. I think it's 5 days, and within those 5 days, you compose a piece for a scene, movie scene. There's a teacher, a professor, who goes with you over the whole stuff, and then you record it with the Staatskapelle, which is a special word for orchestra in German, because when Germany was divided in the east part, they called it not orchestra, they called it Kapelle. This is why it's called like that. So it's the orchestra in Halle, and you record with that orchestra. And the cool thing is about you record there, and then there's at the final end of this whole film music days of the Congress, there's a concert in the opera there,
Wow.
and one of the five there are five participants from the masterclass, and one of the five participants will be selected, and this piece is performed live in this concert, which is really cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so this was I could record there twice, and it was a really good experience because it was so different, for example, from the recordings we did at during our time at Berkeley, because
Right.
the orchestra is different. It's also, I think it also makes a huge difference if an orchestra is a session orchestra or a classical orchestra, which
Right.
recently records and also maybe sometimes records with click, but doesn't do it every day. That's a huge difference.
So what was it
And
in your case?
in my case, the orchestra is a classical trained orchestra,
Ah,
but they're coming together for recording sessions. It's not that they don't do recording sessions, but they don't do it every week, and
okay.
that makes a huge difference. I
Okay.
think huge difference, because I think in Budapest they just have musicians, and they come together and they ask them, and they just like they play very very nice. Yeah,
Right, right.
and they just read the
But it's
music fluently, and then they play it, and it sounds already very nice.
right, but it's not people who play together all the time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in Halle, it's an orchestra which plays together, but it's a classical
Right.
trained orchestra, and I think that makes a difference. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Did you felt it?
yeah, because I think some parts they struggle with some parts where I was really sure that they would have worked with other with an orchestra in Budapest or in Macedonia, for example. Um, just because, yeah, in terms of timing, and also in terms of blending to each other, I think that was also in the recording situation. It was different for them to, when they had the headphones on, that they
Oh,
couldn't
right.
hear their instrument very well. And yeah, it was different, and it took much more time to record a specific
Oh,
amount of music than in with other recording sessions.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. And tell us a bit more about this session. How much time did you have? How many do you remember the ensemble? What was it?
I have to think about, because I did this already in 2018 after we graduated, and then
Mm.
in 2019 again. It was a 54-piece orchestra, I think.
Okay,
So it
wow.
was,
Full.
yeah, full orchestra. Everything was there. Even a harp was there. I think two or three percussionists. So it was cool. You had the whole thing to record, and I think we had 30 minutes per participant, and the scene we
Okay.
had to write was about 5-6 minutes. So it was something like this.
Okay.
But there's also a very different thing, which is in there was a person in between the conductor and the composer, who was called, I think there's no translation for that in English. It was just called Tonmeister, which is a specific type of. It's kind of a classical producer. I would call it that way.
Okay.
It's a producer who is trained on reading full orchestra sheet music, and who is trained in how the instruments have to blend. So you communicated with this producer, and he talked to the orchestra, which was at some time really cool, because he was amazing. He had like markers and all that stuff. Okay, we have to do this, and we
Okay.
have to this, and you have to. That's maybe what you said. In maybe you had the problem that there was nobody helping you to produce the music in
Right.
your famous project. This was the person who could do it. But if you don't know that person, that's also something. And also, if he or she doesn't know the music, it can be tricky if you have only 30 minutes and you need to produce the whole thing.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. For timing, it must be a little difficult.
yeah.
But and would you say that the conductor could do the same job? I mean, couldn't you just talk directly to the conductor? Because the conductor is very well versed in
I think
reading
I think that would be possible, and
scores.
I think it's probably even the faster way,
Mm-hmm.
to do it. But this was the concept, that this person was the producer, and he was also editing and mixing it after. So he was the full producer of the thing, and you were the composer, and
Okay.
he was the conductor. So three different positions, which was cool, but it's, I think, interesting and also different from other concepts of producing music with an orchestra.
Yeah, exactly. It's very interesting. Very
Yeah.
cool way to do it.
But in
And
total, it's a really cool workshop and a really cool masterclass.
very cool. And can you still do it? Are you banned for life once you've done it twice?
No, because I did it the first time, and then I even did it the second time. You just have to apply for it, and you send your music there, and you have to write some stuff why you want to do it and stuff like this, like a motivational letter, and then they select the participants. I think in the last 2 years it was just difficult because of COVID and all that stuff. They couldn't do it
Okay.
in the way they wanted to do it. There was kind of a remote version of it, which is of course different. But yeah,
Okay.
everybody can do it, and I
And
think they're
do
always looking for applicants.
really they anyone not you don't have to be German. They accept Canadians, for
Yeah,
example?
yeah, yeah. You can do it. For example, John Leavitt, one of our colleagues from
Right, I
Berkeley,
remember.
he did it 2018 with me, because during our time at Berkeley, I told him about it, and I told him, yeah, you have to apply for it, and he applied, and we both got selected, so we were there together, which was really nice.
That's
Or
awesome.
Clementine, for example, she did it in 2019, I think, the remote version,
Okay.
um, which was a special one because of the COVID thing and all that. It was a little bit different, but yeah, everybody can do it.
Wow. Let's look into it.
I
Wow, that's
can
very
I
cool.
can share the link in the show notes if you want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Especially for me. Thank you.
yeah, I do it for you.
For everyone listening.
Yeah.
And could you tell us a bit more about just briefly the what you wrote for, like the picture? Can we hear the music? Is it available?
I think both of the pieces I wrote are not, and I didn't publish them yet, just because I didn't have time. It was just because at some point I had so many projects. I couldn't even I couldn't even publish my music, because also publishing music takes some time. We
Yeah.
probably should also do an episode about the
Yeah.
things you need to do to publish your music until it really comes out on Spotify and co. It's a long way.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
That's actually a good topic. We'll
yeah,
keep
yeah.
make note of that.
Yeah.
Um and so these okay, so these I've never heard this music. You
I
it
I
was a
s-
short film?
I sent it to you. No, it was just an excerpt of a clip
Okay.
from a whole movie. Both
Very
times,
cool.
both of them was animation, which was cool because you could do a lot of Mickey Mousing and stuff like this.
Okay.
Yeah, cool music,
Very
cool
cool.
stuff.
And did you I know you recorded a few ensembles for maybe Entre les deux or a string quartet as well?
Yes, so in last year in November, I recorded a string quartet,
Okay.
which was here in my hometown, which was cool because I
Wow.
could just walk to the studio. It was not a remote thing, mm, which was really cool because I wrote during Berkeley. I wrote as we said, one of the assignments was to write a piece for a for a string quartet,
Right.
and I wrote that. And now I got a scholarship because of the whole COVID thing. There was an initiative in Germany that you can, when you're an artist, apply for that scholarship, and you get
Okay.
some money, and for a project you do. But with that money, you have to pay other artists to be involved in that project, so that the
So
whole
yeah.
culture thing keeps moving again. And this is
Very
why I
cool.
decided to just write 3 additional movements for that string quartet. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole piece in total. And but as I wrote these 3 movements, I also had to re-record the first one because it was a different room, different microphones, different
Right, of
musicians,
course.
so that it sounds complete in
Yeah.
the whole thing. So this is why, yeah, I recorded these 4 movements. All of them are about 3-4 minutes per movement, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean it was a super luxury thing because I had 1 hour per movement,
Wow.
and I even because of that scholarship could afford to pay the musicians 1 day more, so that the first day they rehearsed it and the second day they recorded it at the studio, which is not the typical way because the most of the time just come to the studio, you give them the music, and they start with it, right?
Yeah, they sight read, exactly.
Yeah, they
Wow.
side read, and you could really feel the difference because when we started the first movement, we already after the first take started to work um, uh, with the music and not with
Yeah.
the notes and with the things, and everything was clear because I was there at the rehearsal, so they
Mm-hmm.
already all the questions they had about what do you mean here and this or how shall I do this and this, it was already clear.
That's amazing. And they
um,
they practiced basically,
they
which
practiced,
is
yeah, yeah,
so everything like blend and musicality, that's all there's left to work on, you know?
yes. And I think
That's amazing.
with
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
string quartet like this, it was mandatory, essential that they play it together because, of course, there's also the possibility to say we record section by section. That's what you
Mm.
sometimes do when you have an orchestra. But I think with 4 musicians and when it's about the whole sound in total, you have to do it together. So
Okay, so it was no sections. It was like the whole movement
yeah,
and
yeah,
then the
yeah,
next movement.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which
Wow,
is, of
that's
course,
cool.
afterwards for the editing and the stuff, or if there's a mistake, it's a little bit harder. But I
Yeah,
think
for
it sounds so organic together, much more than if I would have done it separately.
and was it to click? Is that why the editing?
Yeah, yeah, we had a click. We had a click, and
Okay.
also in some parts I conducted a little bit. But just because we did a video afterwards, that's also maybe different from we recorded a video, but we recorded the video afterwards. So we didn't do it during the recording session. We had
Okay.
after the 4 hours of audio recording, we had a break, and then a video team came, and then they make like a music video out of it. So we placed in a room and we recorded it, but we didn't have to. The musicians didn't have to sit the exact way they sat in the recording environment, and
Right.
we could
To
repeat
make it look
things,
better.
and we could make cuts, and they changed the light and stuff like this. And there for this video recording, I also conducted. Yes.
That's amazing. And you've shared all of this? I feel like I don't remember seeing this on your
Yeah,
social
because
media.
yeah, because it's not out yet. It will be published in at the end
Ah,
of June. Then it's finally done. It was a long way to this because also was a lot of editing, and then I was busy with different stuff, and then the video
of
team
course.
had to edit it. But it will be out in June, at the end of June.
Amazing. Because I was just making sure that I am following you, right?
I don't know. We will see.
No, no,
Yeah,
I am. I am. I'm pretty sure. So I'll
yeah,
keep an eye on that. And
yeah,
I can't believe this whole thing it's a crazy project. So with that grant money, you basically produced the whole session, like
yeah,
executive producer with the money, even if
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
technically
Definitely.
your money.
I mean,
That's totally different than what we're used to. You know, recording
definitely,
hiring
absolutely,
a remote orchestra.
absolutely. And also, it's different if you're writing the music for someone else. It's always a delicate situation, right? To talk about the extra money for the recordings. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you have to really calculate and really prepare and see that everything goes smooth the way it is. And here I just got an amount of money which I could use, but also which I had to use. There was not the money
Yeah.
I got from the government was not that I could book my next holiday. I really had to spend it, and I also had to make proof that I spent it afterward. So
Mm-hmm.
I could say, okay, I can do this and this and this and this. Okay, do I have money left? Okay, I also do this, which was
So
a
can you tell us a bit, like, maybe more detail, like maybe not in exact figures but percentages, like how did you organize this?
yeah. So I first I looked for the musicians, and
Okay.
I already knew the cello player. Her name is Sophia Schultz. She also recorded some other of my music, which is also some soundtracks and stuff like this. And she
Mm-hmm.
had this ensemble, and I asked them what they will take, how much money they will take to do the
Okay.
whole thing. And as I realized, it was a good fee they wanted to have. We discussed about this situation that we use an extra day for the rehearsal process, because
Mm-hmm.
I played to her the first movement, and she also said, yeah, you see, it's a lot about the sound in this music, and it would be better if we could prepare it before a little bit. Then we would
Absolutely.
all feel more comfortable with it. So we agreed to that. Then I looked for the studio, and the most of the studios, as I know, at least that it's how it is here, charge per hour.
Mm-hmm.
So you go there for 1 hour, you pay for 1 hour. You go there for 4 hours, you pay for 4 hours. But sometimes it's better, if they agree to that, to do a package deal, to say, okay,
Yeah.
this day I want to record, I want to book your studio, and I pay you this amount um, for
Flat
the whole
fee.
day. And yeah, and if it takes 8 hours, it takes 8 hours. If it takes 10 hours, then it takes 10 hours. That's what we
Okay.
did for the recording studio, because I knew the video team will come, and you never know when they start recording and shooting their video. Oh, can we do this? Okay, and this would be a nice shot, and this would be a nice. So it would take a little bit longer, of course.
Yeah.
So we did this, which was very good, because then I really could calculate how much exactly I will need to pay for the recording studio, because otherwise, if you charge per hour in a project like this, you never know at the end,
Yeah.
will there be extra costs or not.
Absolutely.
Then there was the money, of course, for the engineer, for the recording engineer.
Yeah.
But it was part of the package deal from the studio. And then
Okay.
final costs for the video team. And I have to say, the cool thing is, the video teams from my director, I knew, and I did a project for him for a very low
Mm,
rate. So he did it for free for me, the whole shooting, which was really cool.
that's great. Yeah.
That's a good thing if you have people around in your area, because then it's still their time, but it's not a huge deal if they have to travel through the whole country to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was calculating a little bit with, do I need money for post production? I knew that I will
All
mix it
right.
myself, but the mastering will take some money, for example. Or I was also thinking about, do I do the cover, or the paper,
Artwork.
the artwork
Yeah.
at the end, or will I hire someone to do it for me? Yeah, and that's how the calculation for it went. And it's a little bit um not sad, but I think it's important to see the business side of it too, to really think
Mm-hmm.
about how much money will you take, because then you know what's possible after. Because if you just start with these things, you can you can get super confused, and you can charge for a lot of things afterwards, and where you don't have the money for.
Right. No, I think that's absolutely true. And yeah, I think you did a good job. You were able to, you didn't need to hire a contractor, right? Because you were
Yeah,
basically contracting yourself.
yeah,
What else? I don't think there's any. Yeah, the engineer was part of the studio fee. And then
yeah.
did you end up getting people for post production? I'm not sure I understood.
No, I mixed it on my own.
Okay, okay.
And but the mastering, I did let the mastering doing by someone else. I always
Okay.
let Yeah, I always extract it, because I think it's not good to mix and master the music. Um,
Yeah.
that one
If you
person, it's
can, it's
good.
better
Yeah,
to
it's good
help get help.
if
Yeah.
an extra person is doing that. And the artwork, I asked someone who doing the artwork for me.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you covered all the money, you had nothing else to spend?
No,
I mean, no money left to spend. Great.
no.
Fantastic. And do you think you can do this again? Are there other grants you can get?
We will see. I mean, this was a special COVID thing, like to restart culture thing. But I'm sure there are a lot of possibilities almost everywhere. There are so many possibilities for funding, for scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just have to look for them, and of course, it's sometimes it takes a lot of time. And if you're working
Yeah,
professionally and you have your own things, you won't find the possibility for that. But
yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's good to just think about a project and to plan that project and say, okay, this is the specific project, and for that, I'm looking for funding in some way, because then it's a little
Absolutely.
bit
Yeah.
more concrete. If you just ask for money and say, okay, maybe I want to record with an ensemble my music in 2 years, it's super inconcrete. But if you say, I don't know, I want to produce a dance movie, 5 minutes, and I want to write the music for it, and I need 5 dancers, and I need a video team, and this is already the concept. A lot of more people are willing to co-fund that and
Yeah.
to give you money for that.
I've seen that too. That when it's very important to have a specific project and
Yeah,
exactly your deadlines set, people you want to hire, the budget set. So yeah, that's true. And hey, maybe we can look into something. Have a little Canada Germany collaboration going and try
that
to
would
record
be
something together.
fantastic. I mean, that's the cool thing about remote recordings, right? That we don't have to be specifically in the place. Oh yeah, I forgot. In
Yeah.
last year in August, I also did a remote recording. This was my first remote recording, which was different.
Okay.
In Thessaloniki, in Greece.
Okay. Wow.
Also, this was also a workshop. I think the workshop was called Film. I don't remember. I will, maybe I find it and then I will put it in the show notes. But it's also a cool
Okay.
workshop where you fusion film scoring workshop. Now I know it. Yeah,
Nice.
you've probably heard about it.
I think so.
Um, yeah, there we also had the possibility to record a small ensemble, and because of COVID, it wasn't in present, so it was a remote thing. Yeah.
That's very cool. And man, you've had a few experiences, professional experiences since Berkeley, eh?
Yeah, but I think that's a good thing. There's especially those workshops. If you don't have the possibility to record music through a project because there's no budget or the people don't want to pay for it, at least
Yeah.
there are these workshops, and then you can record with an ensemble, and then it's always something you can add to your portfolio, and it makes a difference at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's the one in Germany. What other ones are there? Any specific ones? Can't
You mean
remember
like
right now.
like workshops?
Like workshops. I know there's one in France.
There's one in
The
France, yeah. Then this
Aubin.
fusion film scoring workshop in Greece.
Very cool.
Then there are also these Hollywood film music workshops in Baden, in close to Vienna, with a lot of
Okay.
Hollywood composers. I think there's also a workshop where you can record with a professional orchestra. You
Mm-hmm.
can record with Conrad Pope there, which is the orchestrator of John Williams. That's also a cool
Yeah.
thing. But of course,
Amazing.
all of these workshops also you have to pay for them. That's
Right.
maybe
Right.
the yeah.
So, and the other way, I think you can. It's much harder, of course, but many film scoring competitions offer like
Yeah,
one of the prizes is
yeah,
also to often to
yeah,
record an orchestra. There's
yeah,
that, or of course you can just pay for a session yourself. It's so enriching, so much a great experience to gain, and I
yes,
think that's the best way to learn is to just do it. And if you don't have the chance to have a budget to record from a project like from a film, sometimes it's best just to invest yourself if you can when
yeah,
you can and to
yeah,
do it yourself. I thought it was an amazing experience.
yeah. And Joey, you said such a smart thing to me recently. I mean, you're always saying only smart things,
Of
but this
course,
was
that's
even
all I
even
say.
smarter. So you said, why spending a lot of money all the time for sample libraries when you also
Absolutely.
can from time to time pay for a live recording, and that makes so much sense.
I'm such a genius for saying
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
No, it's true. I realize, like, why am I buying this, like, the next big string library for like 350 $400
yeah,
when for like in my case for like 800 I could get a half hour
yeah,
of a real orchestra. I mean, of
yeah,
course you could reuse the samples as much as you want, but when you already have a good sample library, I think it's best to just learn how to use it, do the best you can with it, but you don't really need to buy 14 different ones or buy
yeah,
the next big one
yeah,
because the technology is already very good. So if there's something like a groundbreaking sample library that you need, of course you can get it. But once you have a good one, I think it's really great to give yourself the gift of recording an orchestra live, you know?
yeah, definitely. And it makes a huge difference. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. Just for the sound, for the musicality, and of course your own experience. And it just looks good when you that's another thing. By recording yourself um visually, like recording an orchestra or conducting an orchestra, it just seems so professional and it looks good, on your
yeah.
social media, on your resume. People see that and people notice. It's really I think it's great.
And I also would say, I mean, you should never think about competition, of course, because I hate that word in especially
Hmm.
in artistic terms. But
Yeah.
if you compare, if a director compares your music to the music of some others, and there are five composers, and five composers use the same sample library,
Hmm.
the sound, even if they write different music, but the sound will be the same. But
Yeah.
if you are the composer number six who has a recording with an orchestra, that makes the difference,
Yeah.
and this will stand out
Absolutely.
to the others.
You definitely stand out, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we can do that again soon.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if the next of us has a recording session, we just do a new episode and talk about that
Yeah.
session.
And you know what I just thought?
Yeah,
If you have a recording session and you need a producer, would just hit me up,
I
even
will
if because just by being there I could learn, and by being there I can help you, so it's a win-win, I
definitely.
think.
And you remember, you have always been um
I was
my
your producer
favorite
at Berkeley.
producer at Berkeley. You even mentioned on the videos I have online. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Amazing. In the
So
credits, producer.
yes, yes.
Very nice. So did we cover most of what we wanted to cover today, my friend?
I hope so. Yeah.
Is there any other questions? Should we talk about something else regarding
Maybe we can, yeah, maybe for the final thing we can just cover a little bit what do you have to prepare to start for the recording session. So what are
yeah,
things that could be a
you have
good,
to write
yeah.
music.
Oh, you really have to write music. Yeah, we forgot that. Never forget
So
to write
funny.
music before you go to a recording session.
No, but you're
Otherwise,
right. We should. It's a great idea to go over all the technical stuff that we have
yeah,
to do. Right.
yeah,
That's some of the stuff we learned at Berkeley. But even after like a year of studying, sometimes there's a lot to think about.
yeah. And it's
So let's
interesting
go over
because
it.
I think it's global, right? It doesn't change so much. The technical things are almost everywhere the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, everyone uses Pro Tools, right? So that's given. It's industry standard.
yeah,
So yeah, let's go over everything. So
yeah.
say, okay, so you've written the music for your film.
Yes,
Do we say it's for, yeah, it's for film. Let's say it's for
yeah. Let's
film.
say it's for
Could
film.
be could be for anything, but let's say it's
Yeah,
for film.
yeah.
Um so you have your music written to a click track, right? And
Yes,
stop me if I forget anything. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're just brainstorming. The music's done. You've exported your MIDI, say, into a score notation program. You've
Yes,
made your score. Notation is all clear. What else?
yeah. Then you extract the parts. So every musician need a his own part. You don't give the musicians the full score, but you also need a
Right.
full score for the producer and the conductor. I
Yep.
think you also sometimes you have to talk to the conductor if you need a transpose score or concert score. But I think
Oh,
in the most of
yeah.
the recording environments, It's
Concert.
yeah, it's concert score.
Concert.
Yeah. So
And usually, and you can check the format too. Sometimes they want A3
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah.
Um,
I think you also
yeah.
have
So
to
the
make
Yep.
sure if you have to print the parts or if they print it
Yep.
for you, that's very important.
Well, if you're doing it remotely,
Yeah.
usually it's them. But
They yeah.
good point for real. If you're doing it locally, then you have to make sure there's someone giving printing the parts, getting everything ready.
Yeah. And
That's
that's
true.
maybe also a good thing to maybe if you have the possibility to hire someone who helps you with that, because it can be if you have, I don't know, 15 different cues and you need to have the parts for all of the musicians on their stand at the same time in the right order. It's maybe good
Yeah,
to just have somebody who is responsible for that and who helps you with that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then that's good for the score. Then technically, like, it's best to send a Pro Tool session ready to be recorded, right?
Yeah, why is it the best solution?
I guess. Well, I think you have no choice. You have to have you send in a Pro Tool session with your own click track printed, your own click track marked in the tempo track of the
Yes.
session. You have your maybe mock-up as a reference. You have maybe the if you have synths or other musical components that are not recorded, you can have that as a separate stem, single stem.
Yes.
Uh, is that all there is? Maybe not the film. The film is not included, is it? No,
No, the film
no,
is not included.
no.
Even maybe if there's a director, but I've never been with a
Right,
director to a recording session. So
right.
yeah. Yeah, maybe the mockup is included. I don't know why the orchestra should listen to the mockup because there's no time. But if there are separate things which are not recorded, then it's good to have
Yeah,
them,
just
especially if
maybe
they need them.
for the engineer, maybe if he has a question
Yeah.
or he wants to listen to something to compare. Also markers. It's good to have markers set up
Yes.
in your markers in the session that correspond to this markers in your score. So, for
Yes.
example, if you want to start recording from letter A to letter B, it's very clear for both the orchestra, the conductor, and the engineer
Yeah, and
where
it's
that
much
is.
faster than saying, let's record from bar 12 to 49 because they
Right.
all have to look,
But
okay, where's 12, where's 49?
but it's a good point that you also need the bar numbers.
Yes, the bar
Right? So
numbers,
markers
definitely. Yeah.
absolutely important. The markers very much more useful than bar numbers, but you also need bar numbers in case there's a specific bar you have to talk about.
Yeah.
And it has to be very clear in the score and the parts. What else? What else? The For the Pro Tool session, I think we covered everything.
Yeah, and I think the rest also, you don't need to do much more with the proto session. The recording engineer there is doing the routing and all that stuff. Also
Yeah,
microphone and all that stuff. You don't have to care about that. That's what they provide you. That's also what you pay for. So I think it's fair to say I don't have to care about it.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think then a recording plan, as we discussed, like really
Oh,
think
see,
about. Yeah,
I missed it again.
yeah,
Always forget the recording plan.
yeah. Think about which if you have more than one cue, which cues you want to record in which order, and then also within the cues, which sections do you need, or is maybe if there is some section you really need to have on point because it's super important for the movie or something like this, then highlight
Yeah,
this or something like this.
or difficult parts,
Yeah,
passages. Yeah,
yeah,
that's good. And have a timeline. Yeah,
yeah.
know exactly how much music you have for the amount of time you have.
Yeah, and
That
maybe
all goes in.
and
Yep.
maybe also kind of uh, at least think a little bit about it. What will you do if something goes wrong and needs more time? So, are there other things you could do as an option? For example, if you say, "I want this cue, I need I want to record it 3 times." But if I don't have time, then two versions would be fine too, or something like this.
Yeah. And also, you just made me realize also to have a plan for extra time, which
Ah,
doesn't
yeah,
happen often. But
yeah,
it's what if you have 5 minutes to spare?
yeah,
You don't want to just say, "Okay, have a nice day."
yeah, yeah,
You've paid for that time, so
yeah.
sometimes it's good to have like something ready in case, or
Yes,
I should say maybe have more plan
yes,
than expected. You know?
yes. Or
Maybe that
also,
could be good.
it's also not cool if you have 5 times left and you say, "Okay, let's just do it all over again," and nobody
Yeah,
knows
yeah, yeah.
knows why. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Very cool. So we're
yeah.
set. We're ready for the next one.
We're next for the next one, and
And
we will talk in an episode about it, I'm sure.
yeah, and so you guys listening to us are also ready and well equipped to have your first recording session. Maybe Fabi, if they have any questions, they could write to us.
Please.
Any questions about whatever we discussed today or that we missed, or any questions for future topics, that would be great.
Yes, just write to us to contact at mfspodcast.com or on Instagram.
Very cool. And so is this a good place to stop?
I think so, yeah. It was,
All right.
again, amazing to talk to you, my friend.
Pleasure to talk to you too.
And yeah, thank you for all of you for listening to us. And we see each other on the next one.
Hope it was helpful. Talk to you soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.